A lot of us grown up around very judgmental people, and we live in a very judgmental society. We live in a society where if you don't have the necessary materialistic, ritualistic things, then people automatically judge you. People automatically put you in a category, and they automatically categorize you and put you into a box, put you into what they perceive you as, their own internal perception about you. So if you're a 35-year-old man and you're a janitor at a high school, most people will call you a failure. But if you're some 22-year-old multi-millionaire YouTuber, you got 40 million in ad revenue, over the last 4 years or whatever, and you have businesses, you're selling hot dogs, sandwiches, your anime book, your hat, you're selling like you know what I mean. You know what they do, like Mr. Beast or whatever, you know, and it's strange. I feel like this world truly picks who wins and picks who loses. I truly believe that. And this is why I gotta say, never let nobody tell you about your life if they haven't walked a day in your shoes. Don't listen to anybody who hasn't been through the hell that you have been through, who haven't walked and burned in the same flames that you have. Don't listen to anybody who hasn't been through the hell and the bull crap that you've been through, and then let them tell you about your life. They don't know your life. They don't know all the little nuances, the little things that happen. There's certain things that you can't say. There's certain things that you can't talk about. There's certain things that, you have to keep to yourself forever because of just the sensitive nature of the topic and the sensitive nature of the material that is integrated within it. But you want to have family members who live in different states, hell, probably different countries, and they're going to be all in your business trying to figure out what you're doing, what you're up to, just so they can talk crap about you, just so they can have some ammunition to try to use against you. They're sitting there silently watching you from the shadows, planning and plotting, seeing if you make any mistake or any weakness so they can exploit it and go against you. Like, you'll have people that would do this. And I know it sounds crazy and ridiculous because it is crazy and it is ridiculous, but we live in a predator world, guys. You know, but a lot of us struggle with things that would have broken most people. We've been struggling with isolation for years. We've been struggling with just trying to get our confidence as a man. You can't live with your parents and try to get some booty and Gucci. You can't. You can't try to sneak a girl in the house if you're 25 or 30 years old. You know, you can't even try to get fellatio with a high ratio. You don't even have a car. You don't have an apartment. You don't have any place to take the girl to have some privacy. You can't feel it like this society is in every single day. It's making it harder and harder for you to feel like a man, for you to stand on your own 2 feet and accomplish. I'm willing to work. I'm willing to work hard. I'm willing to go through the pain. I'm willing to go through it. I'm willing. But are you willing to hire me? Are you willing to train me? You know? Oh no, the company can't do training, blah blah. You need more preliminary prerequisites before you're finally accepted as the next candidate. And then you do all that bull crap. Sorry, we're here to inform you that we went ahead and moved on with another candidate. Anyway, have a good day and thank you for your interest in our company. Bye. It's like, fuck you. And sometimes you don't even get that. I'm tired of being under other people's fire. I'm tired of having other people's emotional fluctuations try to change minds. And being in the vicinity of the enemy is something that it's something that haunts you for infinity. I'll say that again. Being in the vicinity of the enemy is something that can haunt you to infinity. Okay? Meaning that every single day you're at your job or you're in a toxic environment, you're surrounded by people that despise you, people that don't like you. That's going to stay with your soul because when these people attack you and they do something to you that really messes with you, it's going to stay with your soul for a long time. Possibly forever, depending on the abuse that you faced. Going to work every day and your boss is yelling at you, but then other people he talks to like he got some damn sense. So he's picking and choosing who to respect and who to disrespect just to boost his own fragile ego. And these are the type of people we have to be around. People that take advantage of the power. People that see people that are in isolation and not bother nobody and try to attack them. These are people that are bosses, managers, CEOs of companies. This world is ran by predatory bullies. We see the full functionality of this evil system and this wicked, sadistic, twisted scheme. You can see it. It's right before our eyes. Look around. Look. That guy is a billionaire. This guy's worth $100 billion, yet he can't build a shelter for 20 million. He can't just out of the kindness of his heart say, I'll take $20 million just so 100 or a couple of thousand people will have a place just to, just because I feel content. No, they don't do that. Because they're evil. They're demiurges. They're archons. These are not humans we're dealing with. These are shape-shifted interdimensional monsters. So they can shape-shift into a human and act like a human, but then they do very anti-human things. It's like any human with a heart of compassion would try to help its fellow man, right? You know, and people may look at that like as if that's weak. Oh, you're being weak, trying to help people and stuff. It's like, yes, that can be considered weak in the evil world. But also if somebody tries you or somebody tries to disrespect you to your face, well, that's a whole different ball game now, is it? Right? So don't mix kindness with weakness, because some of the most kindest people are some of the most strongest people. You don't want to see the quiet man, the quiet, nice guy turn into the bad guy, because we've seen what happened. How do I say this? We see the proliferation of certain escalations in the American school system due to isolation and people being bullied. That's being on the increase. So you're going to see a proliferation of people losing their minds and going crazy because people bully people at these schools. Some of these people at these schools are little demons. They'll pick on a child who minds their business. They'll pick on you if you wear the same clothes or wear the same shoes. They try to isolate you and make you by yourself, and then try to attack you. They try to take you out. And then when they get called out on it, they scatter and run off, and they try to act like they didn't do nothing. They try to, oh, I got evidence that he did this. It's like, what? You attacked this person first. You started it. You went out, like, it's like walking down the street and just socking and just somebody just sock some random person in the face, and then all of a sudden they just start beef with a random person they don't know. Like you're just walking down the street, you see somebody, you just hit them, and then all of a sudden you want to sit there and try to learn everything about them. It's like, what, dude? That's just a random stranger. You're weird. It's we live in a complex mechanism of destruction, of spiritual destruction and spiritual corruption. We have all types of things that are working against us in this position, men. We're not the most handsome men. We're not the most tallest, and some of us have little to no experience with women, and we're grown men. How the fuck do we face the world? How the fuck do we go out there and get your driver's license? How the fuck do you get your first apartment and pay bills and do that when you don't even have the motivation to even get up from the floor? Because you're trapped by just so much deep psychological wounds that hold you down, like shadow abyssal anchors. And these anchors, they pull you into the abyssal depths as well. And you're drowning in your sorrow, you're drowning in your misery, you're surrounded by this prison of unnatural forces and shadow elements and inclinations. It's pretty precarious that we have to be in a situation where we can't just break free. I want to break free from the chains of corruption and destruction. I want to break free and be me. I want to break free and be happy. I want to break free and make a change in the world. There's certain things in life that I wanted to accomplish. There's certain things in life that I really wanted to get done. And I had the raw talent. People always told me that I have raw talent, but I never have the right people around me. Should I say that? Let's just say for a period of my life, I was surrounded by a lot of negative people that were engaging in bad things. And you got to get away from people that are engaging in events that can lead to you being in prison even further, or it can lead to you permanently being out of this existence. So you have to detach yourself from those elements, because those elements can be your downfall, right? And also you have people plotting against you. You have somebody that you have known for 10 or 15 years, and he'll be plotting against you. And the same person will be the same person that, will be always down talking you, always saying what you can't do, always saying that, oh, you can't do that, you can't do this. And this person known you pretty much your whole life, supposed to be your best friend, supposed to be this, supposed to be that. But for guys like us, people doubt us. People don't think we can accomplish anything. And when we say something, people have to double check it and make sure it's real, because it's coming from us. This is why somebody like me, I have to know my shit. When I talk about certain things, I have to know it, I have to know what I'm talking about to speak about it, right? Because I know that when I say something prolific and I say something that's explicit or something that gets people's attention or something that's real and raw and esoteric and secret, people's immediate thing is they're like, I don't know about that. It's coming from him. This guy's not famous or rich or whatever. And then they research it themselves and be like, oh, wow, it's true. Like the CIA heart attack gun. A lot of people never heard about the Central Intelligence Agency having a heart attack inducing weapon, and that's just what they had. That was like in the 70s. Can you imagine what the CIA has now? Can you imagine what kind of frequency waves they can send into somebody's mind and make them have a brain aneurysm or something like that? You don't know what they have, right? I think what's it called? I think I remember reading this about several years ago when I was deep into collecting Central Intelligence Agency documentations. I think look it up online. There's a 1950s CIA assassination manual. I believe you can still find it. If they haven't edited it out, if they haven't taken that off the net. But it was pretty much a guide talking about CIA agents doing like neutralizations on targets of the United States, so going to different places and quelling rebellions or targeting specific people. Sometimes they'll get people within a rich man's household. The CIA would have like the maid, like the maid's working for the CIA on the low. Like somehow they got her family or somehow they bribed her, because it'd be these third world countries and they'll bribe her and say, hey, you do this for us, we'll give you a plane ticket to America, change your name, and you'll be low key, and we'll give you some money, and you bada bing, put your children through school, woo, 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 you'll be good. And some of them say, fuck it. And so you have somebody in the dictator's household, like a maid or somebody like that, pour a little something in the champagne, or maybe unlock a door late at night that the security really don't go into because it's in the deep inner perimeters and everybody's trusted in that position. Kind of like King Henry VIII in his privy chamber. So, yes, so CIA can have somebody do that. And next thing you know, people come in, eliminate the target, the dictator. They may get that person out, or the CIA may betray them and get them too, but it depends, right? But yeah, the CIA has a whole history of doing evil. And what I mean by this, what I'm trying to say is that you see the world. When you wake up in the morning, you hear the birds chirping, you may gotta pee, you gotta go to the bathroom, hop in the shower, get ready for work. That's your normal day. What I'm saying is that when you go to work and work around, that's your reality. The CIA and billionaires and trillionaires, their reality is creating secret underground bases that you don't know about. Cloning, talking to demons, talking to Abaddon, Apollyon, talking to these evil dimensional beings and getting guidance, talking to Yard Both and following his order and rules, Because remember, not all spirits love the God of the Bible. A lot of them are rebelling. Remember there was a war in the heavens, right? So you think an all perfect God is going to have war in his own heavens? That should tell you something right then and there. Because a perfect being is not going to have war in their heavens, in their most intimate, quote unquote, holy space. So something's going on, guys. Something's going on. Something's going wrong. And it's been going on for so long that people forgot that it was wrong. As brutal as that is. But for people like us, man, we really gotta come up with some type of idea to elevate ourselves financially and mentally and spiritually as well. But financially, it takes the prioritization. And what I can't stand is when people they see that you got ideas, they see that you're creative, they see that you want to make some type of something from your talent, and they try to knock it. They try to, oh man, that's just small potatoes, as they will say, something like that. They'll try to say some hating type of thing, but they're not doing nothing themselves. It's always people that's not doing nothing trying to talk about somebody that's doing something. You got people sitting on the sidelines talking about you. Meanwhile, you're building, and they're not building nothing but just an echo chamber of nothingness. They're not bringing value to people. People are not telling them like, hey, bro, your videos changed my life. Your videos changed my perspective. Your videos helped me out through a rough time. These people are just, evil parasites, some of them. This is why certain people can never be leaders, can never be commanders. They can only just be parasites. It's why in nature you have these big old giant whales, like the blue whale. You have these big old whales, even sharks too. You have these giant sharks in the ocean. and they'll travel all across the damn water, the damn ocean, and there'll be these little parasites like these little fish. What's those fish called? And these fish will have like little suckers on their heads, or is it on their head or beneath their neck, whatever the hell, or beneath their fins or whatever the hell it's called. But you guys know what I'm talking about. Just go on those sucker fish. I think they're called sucker fishes, whatever. But they have like a suction cup. I remember there's a YouTube video where like this girl puts it on this guy's shoulder, and he's like, "Oh, it feels weird," But those type of fish in this life, imagine yourself being like some type of divine spark. And you have like spiritual parasites that come into your life. They see that you have light. They see that there's something different about you. They can see that you're you're intellectually more capable than them, or something about you that's just different. And then they'll try to attach themselves to you. I'll give you an example. You go to work one day after getting your hair cut. There's somebody that makes a remark. "Oh, you finally got your hair cut," And it's like, okay, that seems like that's on the surface. That seems like it's nothing. But that means that this person was watching your hair. This person was watching you, looking at another grown man and looking at another grown man's hair and watching him and seeing if you cut your hair or not, just so he could comment on it. It's little shit like that you're always being watched. People are always judging you. Don't listen to these idiots that are telling you no one's watching you. No one cares about you. Man, from your own life experience, every time you go somewhere, everywhere you go somewhere, people are looking at you and frowning at you. People are always looking at people. You can be walking on the street and people can be frowning at you in the car, looking at you, slowing down in the car, trying to look at you. You're like, what are you looking at? It's 2:30 in the morning. Why are you trying to slow down your car and look at me? I'm not no op, I'm just a regular person that's just walking, Or why does somebody try to mad dog you? Like at my age now, I don't even like when people try to do that at my age now. If I was younger, it'd probably been different. But at my old age now, when somebody tries to mad dog me, like if I see in the corner of my eye, some man is like looking at me, staring me down, I don't even pay it no attention. I don't even give them eye contact. Like before, I used to look and then stare at them and like see what's up, But then that leads to problems, or it can lead to something drop. But as I got older, I said that's stupid. Why would I sit there and somebody's looking at me trying to cause problems? If I fight this person, I go to jail. We're in a crowded area in the mall. If I was to go up to, well, what you looking at? Why you looking at me like that? And then fight them, then I'll be in jail and the people will be calling me stupid. Or you could have just walked home. You didn't have to fight. You see that? You see how this world does? But if you just walk away, they call you a little punk. Oh, man, you're a punk. You're scared. You didn't want to fight. But if you fight, they'll call you stupid and say, oh, why did you fight? Why? You should never have fought. Right? So it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. People would tell you, oh man, I'll lose respect. I'll lose respect for you if you don't fight. Then you fight, and then those people say they're nowhere to be found. They're gone. they encouraged it, and then when the real shit happened, they're gone watching from the sidelines. They ain't about to send you no money. They ain't about to help you out. They encouraged it and then left. Watch out for people like that. Watch out for them. Remember, you're living your life. And just be very careful, man, in this world. Be very vigilant. Be observant. Watch what's going on. Make sure that the people that you let in your inner circle, you can trust them. Make sure you guys think alike, have a similar type of mind. I don't mess with people who don't have a similar type. I can't have a conversation with somebody a real conversation with somebody who they have an agenda, and their agenda is not the truth. My agenda is only the truth. What is the truth of existence? That's my agenda. It's not even an agenda. It's just my natural inclination, my natural propensity. I want to find out what's the truth. I'm tired of the lies. I'm tired of the deception being utilized and integrated into society as a weapon. I'm tired of it all. And it's being used to perfection. How many people even know about, certain esoteric things that go on in this world? Think about it. In the news, just in the last few months, you hear about Donald Trump and you hear about Iran, right? You hear about this going on. 1 minute it's this, next minute is that. 1 minute is this, the next minute is that. 1 minute is this, that. Just keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. That is the sowing of confusion. Point blank, period. And when you sow confusion, it makes the people more scared. A lot of people are scared right now because they're uncertain about the economy. The economy can just drop. Tomorrow, money can just be worthless. What if tomorrow we wake up and it say, money's worthless. Now you got to get Report to the nearest police station or the designated areas, your designated sectors to get the brand new neural uplink chip. You got to go through a medical process, you know, you get a chip in your brain, and then the money will be, and then now the money will be on your neural uplink chip, giving the government full access to not only your mind and your thoughts, which they already probably have now, because so many times I think the phone's reading our minds, but now they have immediate, intimate access to you. They can have what's called a kill switch. And if you ever played Call of Duty Black Ops, you understand what this is. Remember, what was it? Call of Duty 4, Call of Duty 3, Call of Duty 2? One of those Call of Duties, I think it was Call of Duty Black Ops 4. One of them, where they went into that CIA Black Ops site and they get down there and it was like, we sold our soul to those who gave us these chips. You know, it was one of those Call of Duties where they go into that CIA Black Ops site, and then towards the end of it, it fills up with water, and you got to escape. You know, I think that's Black Ops 4. It's one of those. It was one of those futuristic Call of Duties. I forgot which one. It's been years, but yeah, you know, the future has. The future is going to be very interesting indeed. You know, the future is going to be very. I want to say exciting. But what's exciting when you're in poverty and you don't have nothing, and not even a woman, and you're old, and the chances of you even being a millionaire is zero. So there's nothing to be excited about. You know, I told myself I wanted to make it to at least 2030. I just want to make it to 2030 to see how, say I lived to 2030, you know? But now I don't know if I can even make it to 2030 because of how stressful this life is. And like, stress is a silent neutralizer. You know, stress adds up. Stress makes you, it destroys your cognitive functional ability. Stress destroys your cognitive functional abilities, and it makes you want to cope more. You know, it's hard to build when you're depressed. It's hard to focus when you're depressed, when you're stressed, when you're worried about money, when you're worried about this, when you're worried about that, when you're worried about this, that and the third. You're by yourself. You may be a young man, you may be in your first apartment, so you're trying to work your job, and maybe you got behind on the rent a little bit, and maybe the landlord was a little lenient on you this time, but somebody else, they got thrown to the streets and thrown to the wolves, but you got lucky, and then you get this second chance, and then somehow you screwed up again because of your depression, and you can't really tell, like you say you have real clinical depression, so like you trying to come up with your rent every month may not be possible because of your depression. Maybe for 7 days, you just locked yourself in the room and watched anime because you were so sad. And people may say that's irresponsible for a grown man to do. And how can a grown man do that? That's not being a responsible man. And you're going to find yourself homeless, and you're right. You keep doing that and you will find yourself in a bad position. But we need to understand the psychological ramifications of isolation and what led to that devastation. We can't just judge a man when we see him devastated. We got to understand what led to the devastation. What were the preliminary prerequisites that took place? What were the primary preliminary prerequisites that took place that led to his destruction and corruption? What led to a man's fall? And then you're going to find out that there was other people talking about him, people talking about his appearance, people talking about his intelligence, people talking about his dreams, inspirations, and ambitions. You're going to find out it's not just simple. It's not just black and white. It's not just as simple as blue and red, left and right. It's something more complex and more nuanced. There's layers of complexity that led to the treachery, you know? Maybe the way your dad yelled at you and said you'll never be nothing. And maybe the way your dad believed in you. Your dad wanted you to play baseball, but you weren't good. And you never amount to anything in baseball. So your dad kind of fell off from you. Because he's like, damn, my son ain't going to never be a successful baseball player. So then your dad secretly doesn't like you. Then you have your mother that may have something against you. Then you may have a cousin that doesn't like you. You may have a cousin who doesn't like you. But he's watching your YouTube channel. He's watching everything you're doing to try to learn about your life. To try to learn about how you think. To try to see if he's better than you and what you're doing. He's trying to see if your life is still bad so he can feel good about his own life instead of just leaving you alone. If I don't talk to you in real life, I'm not going to talk to you on the internet for the most part. If you're somebody that I don't know, if you're somebody that's not cool, I've gotten very more strict in who I interact with because there's too many agents, spies, and saboteurs who are trying to attack anybody they can. So you can't give these people an easy door so they can just attack you. They can get away with it. And then everybody act like nothing happened. But then people know what happened. And these motherfuckers are still watching. It's crazy. So I never understood how people online can be obsessed with a grown man you have never met. I never understood that obsession. Never understood it. To me, it's just weird. I've never been obsessed with another grown man that I've never met before. to the point of just ridiculousness and foolishness. You know. Anyway, being somebody in this position, man, you learn a lot of things, and you kind of learn fast because you have to. Because people like us, the world doesn't just hand us a win. It doesn't just hand us a victory. A lot of us have a history of defeat, and the history of defeat comes from a life of misery. It's not a mystery that your history of pain and isolation and being destroyed and trapped into this void, it viciously broke down your spirit and compartmentalized it. You know, compartmentalized your spirit. Now your soul and your spirit's in different little pieces and sections and sectors and broken upon and stomped upon like glass in the Battle of Stalingrad. Totally eviscerated, totally annihilated, totally obliterated, totally void of anything that can spark something great. Even if you do have the spark of perfection in your soul. If your soul is not constantly being nourished and cultured, then it's probably going to spark out or get dim. A lot of us would be great video game creators. One of my greatest dreams is to be a video game designer. That's my ultimate goal. Fuck the music. Because I want to create interactive worlds. I'll make a game that'll blow all these whack ass games out the water. For real, because it's my creative endeavor. I'm a gamer for real, and I understand games are supposed to be fun. If I had a multiplayer game and it had a broken weapon, I'll leave the broken weapon in because it's fun. If people in the community understand it's broken and they build little skills around it, I'm not going to nerf the weapon. It's a fun weapon. If it brings enjoyment to the people playing my video game, then so be it. I'm not about to nerf and patch and do all this crap. Only when something really, really bad happens. But other than that, I want in my video game company, the number one motto is for gamers to have fun. And you own what you buy from me. If I sell you a video game, it's yours to own forever. It's not mine. I don't have any type of lawyer jargon integrated into the contractual stipulations that's going to say that you owe this or you owe that, or you don't own this, you don't own that, or whatever. I'm not going to be a slimy snake like that. And then somebody is with a good mind, good heart like me, who's creative. I'll never be in the position of Todd Howard, or somebody like that. But I'd have been had the Elder Scrolls out by now. The Elder Scrolls I would have made would have been so fucking amazing. I'll try to make it as best as like being in it. Oh my God, if I can go hard in it. One thing I didn't like about Skyrim is like how you can't really ride the dragons without mods, and like how the dragons were kind of just, let's be real. I love Skyrim, but Skyrim is kind of janky. It's like Fallout. It's kind of janky, and that's why the mods is why Skyrim lives so long. There were so many cool mods back in the days me and the homies used to have, especially when I was on PC for a bit. We had some cool ass Skyrim mods, bro. We had little bases and bandit camps. Man, it was fun. Or at least like building and like showing each other, like building up the little camps and shit. Like I love doing that in Skyrim and Fallout. When you build your little base, I love that shit. I love base building. One of my favorite games, just reminding myself, is Command and Conquer. And one of the games I used to play in high school a lot is Command and Conquer 3. Oh my God, man, we spent hours playing that shit online. My God, me and my little team. Bro, yeah. Anyway, and you see that? Most of my joy I'm talking about comes from virtual reality worlds, meaning coming from different dimensions that were created by their gods, which is video game developers. If you look at a video game developer, it's no different than a god. A video game developer creates the code, creates the life, creates the animation, creates what the characters are going to say, has the NPCs, it predicts the life before the people even start. So when your character, when the cutscenes are already made out for you, I wonder if life's like that. If this life is like a video game, it feels like it. If the demiurge or the god of this world, like certain things in our life, like when you graduate high school, I didn't graduate high school, the normal way. I had to go to an adult college because I didn't graduate high school. That's a whole nother story in itself. But, it's barbaric to be in this position, and not be able to fight back with any type of veracity or tenacity to be in this position, to be treated with so much disrespect, with so much contempt by interdimensional invisible beings who don't want nothing to do with you. They want to torture you and torment you and break you and destroy you, but you have done nothing wrong. You existing is not wrong. That's one thing we got to remember, and we got to try to get our confidence back. That's one thing I'm working on too for myself, is trying to build my confidence back up to the point where it's manageable. Because right now it's just we try our best, man. We try our best mentally. We're battling with demons. We're battling with evil spirits. We're battling with the flames of depression and the shadows of destruction. And we're just trying to maintain, right? We're just trying to keep our heads above water and just do our thing. But yeah, that's it, man. Peace.